Hey everyone, this is Matt with Who Are They Real Talk, and today we are lucky enough to be here with Phil Lamarr at Wizard World Cleveland Comic Con. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Sorry. First question is, you've honestly been the voice of a lot of people's childhood here. Is that part of the reason you do all the conventions and everything? Because you've done characters like Static Shock, Jon Stewart, Samurai Jack. Everyone here knows you, basically, and we've seen basically how popular you are, with how hard it's been to get the press over here to talk to you. So what does that feel like for you?
Well, it's interesting because a lot of times, especially when you're doing the animation stuff, it's us alone in a booth, and we do our work a year before it ever airs. So I've learned over the years when somebody says, "Hey, what are you working on?" They don't mean, "What am I working on this week?" They mean, "What were you working on a year ago?" So that I can see today. But the wonderful thing about coming out to these conventions is, one, it means that the work we've done lives on. And also, I was joking with a friend, it's kind of like getting applause for a performance, but one person at a time. Somebody comes up to the table, it's like, "I liked that." Okay, next. "I liked that too," as opposed to the whole audience at once.
Nice. Well, a lot of people know you for your role in Pulp Fiction as Marvin. What was it like working with Tarantino, and what was your reaction to reading that death in the script when you first got it?
Well, when I first read the script for Pulp Fiction, I was blown away. I mean, I think there are maybe 2 scripts I've ever read in my 30-year career that hit me like that. There's something about perfect writing where every line seems exactly what should come next, but it's also a complete surprise to you. Because there's a lot of stuff that anybody could write. It's like, and it's just obvious what's coming next. But with his stuff, you never know what's going to come next, but everything feels like it's all one world, and that's exactly what that character would say or do. And you wind up reading through it twice, and all of a sudden you got it memorized because it just makes sense. And that was the best set I've been on because the script was so good. Because everybody there knew they were part of something special.
That's really cool, actually. Well, I know you've been doing all your voiceover work for years. You've done Hermes. We've gone over the list. I know you've been doing stuff for Young Justice on the DC streaming service. Would you have any interest in maybe bringing back a show like Static Shock or anything like that if they approached you about that?
Well, sure. I mean, and that's the tough thing. Is like people will come up to me and it's like, "Hey, you should do a Static Shock show." I'm like, I don't own it. That's like somebody, like if I'm driving my Prius, like, "Hey, they should make a turbo one." It's like, dude, I just bought the car. I don't run the factory. And sadly, these corporations control the characters. But yes, I mean, I love that character. I love that show. And hopefully someone will recognize that it's perfect for the world we're in now. I mean, back when we originally did Static Shock, nobody talked about diversity or representation, but that's exactly what it was. It was an African-American teenage superhero who had his own show, and he was the center of the story, but it wasn't like a very special episode. It was just what's happening in his life. There might be a gun at school. It wasn't a special episode, it's what was real. But at the same time, it was a hero show, And I hope somebody will look at those episodes and realize they're sitting on gold.
Honestly, I can tell you that's the first thing I watched as soon as I got the DC streaming service. So, yeah, I that show is definitely way ahead of its time. What advice would you have for anyone who's actually trying to break into this industry? Because you've been a long-standing member of this industry, as you can see from your, 30-year career now?
Something like that.
So what advice would you give someone who wants to be a voiceover actor or anything?
Well, I'd say, one, dispel the biggest myth. A lot of people think voice acting is somehow separate from quote-unquote real acting, and it's not. Voice acting is a misnomer. Even though the voice comes first in the name, the acting comes first in the work. You have to be an actor, and you are choosing for your voice to be your main instrument. The same way if you're performing on stage or on camera, what you do as an actor doesn't change, just how you deliver it changes. So I think a lot of people don't understand that when they're first thinking about getting into it. So that's something I always like to tell people.
Thank you, Mr. Lamarr. It was great talking to you, and I wish you a good con.
Thank you, man. Have fun. Enjoy the costumes.